Ray, everybody. How you
Well,
doing?
thank you. Thank you. I'm great. How are you today?
Finally. I actually told everybody on a live stream that I was trying to get you on because I've been trying to get you on here for months, but I don't know.
I've been running away, Eric. I've been running away.
I know. Anyway, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk some extreme long range shooting.
Yes. All right. My favorite subject.
Yeah, so before we do, let's take a look at this video of yours that kind of went viral online. Oh,
Waters are ready.
All right, I'm on target 2. My cant is good. I am dialed.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep. Keep doing it just like that.
so walk me through this. What's going on here?
So, first of all, why Brian Wink is behind me is this area that we're shooting off of is so steep that I'm sliding down this hill. And we found a sandbag in Rusty's car. And so we put the sandbag down. Brian Wink is putting all his weight on it so I can step and not slide. It was amazing when he did that.
So he's actually
And
keeping you from sliding down the hill. That's what he's doing.
yeah, yeah. And then that tarp is really slick too. I would just slide down that hill. It felt like I was in a PRS match at like a rooftop stage.
Plenty of time.
So right here, I'm talking to my team. I'm kind of like saying things because I always have like a checklist every time I shoot. Like, is my cant good? You know, am I dialed? Even though I do it, I still say it or I see it in my head, kind of repeat the process so you just don't make a mistake. Because what I've noticed with me is once that timer goes off, I feel like half your brain falls off on the floor. So I just had Brian Wink move the sandbag.
You boys ready?
Are you still on the clock here?
Oh yeah, I'm still on the clock. I and the funny thing is I'm really fussy like on when I shoot because everything is not perfect for me. You know, like in a normal if I had like my PRS rifle and I had my rear bag, I'm not moving as much, but here I'm sliding. So
Yeah.
Excited, but
I'm scooting back into my position to be consistent as possible. So I just shot my first round at that target and I thought like an inch to the side of the target. Elevation was perfect. So that was my favorite shot of the day. Just to get that close to the target, great elevation, like almost really good wind for what, 3,700?
Yeah.
Hit bottom left corner.
bottom left
Come
corner.
up 2/10.
Aiming top of the target. Favoring right.
Come on, one more. Nice job, Ray.
Wow. Good job. So let's talk about that.
All right.
Walk me through the whole thing.
Setting up and shooting
Well, I
or
mean, let's just that video that we just watched. So you're shooting. Apparently, it's two different targets.
yes, yes. I it might have been three targets on that stage. I wasn't sure. It's been a couple years. But yeah, so you move targets, first target, and then you moved on to the second target. But when I moved on to the second target, I'm not rushing. I have enough time. I'm so used to shooting fast from other disciplines like PRS, my field matches, that I have plenty of time. So I will take my time and make sure everything is correct and not like rush and forget something like a can't, because everything is magnetized at this distance. I also want to make note of any wind changes because at that location we were at, it was Spring Canyon at the NRA Whittington Center, and you got this mountain, that mountain, that mountain, like 7 different wind changes. It's pretty crazy. Beautiful area, pretty.
So how much time do you have to make these shots? Because you did not seem rushed at all. I mean, you made your first impacts. You made a first round impact at the first target that we saw. But whenever you had to transition to the other one, you're literally getting up, you're moving your sandbag, you're moving your gun, you're checking your
Yeah.
notes, you're putting your ammo in the ammo block. And I mean, to me, it seems like that should have been done ahead of time. Do you not have time to do that, or did you simply just forget?
Okay, I know why I put, okay, there was 3 targets then. And then, so the first row, at this time, I didn't have my new block. So there was only like 4 in a row. So I had my first target, my second target, and then my third target ammo was on the ground. So I kept it all segregated. And then once I was finished with the first 2 targets, then I put my other ones in.
I see. What
Yeah.
round were you shooting? Cartridge.
I shoot the 375 Shy-Tech.
Okay. Uh, so how much time, do you remember how much time you had to engage these targets?
Honestly, I don't remember. Maybe 6 to 7 minutes.
Okay. So you got plenty of time because you were shooting them pretty fast.
Plenty of time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm known for shooting fast. Like the first match I went to, actually the second match I went to, I did Raton Thunder, and I was shooting so fast and hitting the target that the ROs were telling me to slow down because I would hit flashing lights, I would hit again before the flashing lights stopped. And then so after that, I'm just coming from a different kind of world too. So ELR at that point was new to me, and I was just using what I used in PRS, other matches, and applied it to ELR. Now I've slowed down a little bit, like in that video, like let's slow down, let's see what we need to do, let's write our notes, let's see if anything changed, if I had to fix anything. But yeah, I guess that's fast for ELR people.
Well, I mean, the reason I think it's fast is because you were so like you're shooting fast, but then in between shots, you're really taking your time to make sure everything's perfect. You are,
Yeah.
which is obviously, I think, what you should do, right? Because
Yes.
if everything is perfect, then you can't shoot fast.
Yeah.
Because you want fast follow up shots, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to stay within that bracket of wind,
Now,
and then also, like I'll toss a round in and then get ready in my little position, get everything good, and then I'll slowly put the bolt forward and then I'll shoot. But I won't let it sit in the chamber.
the reason you guys, for those that are not familiar with extreme long range, you would shoot and then you guys would just sit there for a while, like just looking. That's because of the time of flight of the bullet.
Time of flight is crazy long. I'm gonna have to send you another video. I was shooting the target, the one that Ryan Chaney shot too, the 4150 shot, right? So I actually impacted that too. But in the end, I didn't get points for it because the 2 mile was suspect. But I hit that target on the third shot, but you'll see me like wait behind that rifle and I get impatient and I'm like tapping. I'm like, come on, come on, come on, come on. It was also getting dark and like the sun was going down and yeah, it was pretty fun.
I had Chase Stroud here, and he
Yeah.
explained something that I had never even considered. He says you need to know your time of flight.
Oh yeah.
I think either Chase or Paul Phillips, either one of them told me, maybe both. But they said you have to know your time of flight because otherwise you shoot and the spotters go, no call, and then get off the
Yeah.
scope and then it impacts.
Yep.
He
Yep.
says you
Yep.
have to know your time of flight so that you know when to look at the scope because these are crazy times of flight. Like I was just watching that video and I'm going, okay, I guess what's going on here? And then you guys would say impact or and then all
Yeah.
of because it's like this is me from the outside in just watching and you guys are like boom and then everything just pauses like
Pause,
time
yeah.
stops right and
Don't
then
breathe. Don't
yeah
breathe.
and then it's like impact and immediately boom
Yeah.
send another and then time stops again. It's pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty good. I think in the video you'll see me say like, or Bill asks like, what's the time of flight, and I'll tell him so he knows when to look. I also like when I write down for my spotters like what my time of flight is. One time I took my gunsmith and my other friend Sean out to shoot ELR, and the first target I wanted to shoot was at 4,200.
Wow.
And I'm like, let's just hit that the first shot. So I'm shooting, right? And these boys are like, no call. I'm like, all right, let's shoot again. Shoot, no call. And I'm like, I look back, I'm like, bullet hasn't even got there yet, guys. They're off the scope already. They're so used to like short range or like 15 and in
Yeah,
that it's like
1500
almost
and in
instant.
short range.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Okay, 600 and in, all right? 600
All right,
and in.
so extreme long range starts at 1500 sounds like.
Yeah, I would say 15 and up, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, so all these small things that I post videos online on YouTube and things of that nature, and people are always saying, like I posted one where we're shooting a KYL rack at 500 yards.
Yeah. Mhm.
And we're shooting and we're showing the impacts. And people go, well, it's obviously fake because he never moved the gun from one target to the other. And they don't realize that at 500 yards, it's literally like an eighth of an inch that you have to move the gun. Yeah. Yeah. So at 4,000 yards, it's just extremely critical that because the size of the target's not that big, right?
It's like what MOA, depending on it.
Yeah, but for the distance,
distance.
I mean, you could move that gun 1,000th of an inch, and that would move it 4,000 1,000ths. What is that? Half? I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some math. But anyway, it's crazy. It's 4,000. Hang on, now I got to do the math. So that's 4 inches. 4 inches.
Yeah, 4 inches.
4,000. Yeah. Okay, 4 inches. You talked about how you have to tell, when you take somebody who's not used to ELR, you have to like be specific to say, hey, FYI, it takes like 15 seconds to get there. Like, don't get on the, or however long it takes. So like, don't get on the scope immediately, because.
Well, no, they could get on the scope, but you count. You'll see if you like look closely, like at a video, you'll see me like count. Like what?
All right, we're gonna watch this one again. Well, because you mentioned a few things that you and I wasn't paying attention the first go around, so let's look at it again.
Spotters are ready.
All right, I'm on target 2. My cant is good. I am dialed.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Time of flight 4.4 seconds.
Keep doing it just like that.
Okay, so 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 the spotters obviously have to be experienced in many
Yes.
different ways.
Yeah.
One of which is knowing the time of flight. Do you guys keep that written down? And like the spotter, what do they do? Count?
I do. I give them a sheet of paper. I have like a little template that I give them. And we've worked together for a couple years already, and we've kind of like figured out like, okay, you like this, I like this. One thing with me is like after I make the shot, don't talk to me. Like, like after I make the shot and moving targets, because I'm thinking what I did and then I'm writing down what I did, like everything, so I just need to focus then and there. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm ready, moving to the next target, set da 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 da. And yeah.
Okay, so just so I understand, you don't need them telling you, okay, now you're gonna dial this up, you're gonna whatever. You got that all.
No,
You
no, that's no, I don't do that. I mean, other people do that. I don't play like that. So
so
it's
you just want to be left alone.
well, I have all these like numbers going on in my head. I'm looking at terrain, I'm looking at wind. Um, I have plan A, I have plan B, and I have like like the last King of 2 Mile that I went to. You'll see at the last target. I'll send you the video if I can find it. I get up and I'm like, that target, there's something hooey going with that target. Before I go on to the last target, I'm gonna go back into my notes because the day before I was, trying to figure something out because I actually just borrowed my friend's rifle for this match like a week before. So I wasn't too sure on the data yet. And then luckily I went back and I checked the data, and then my first shot at that target elevation was perfect. And ELR, it's elevation game, elevation, wind always changes. Wind will change your elevation too.
Data gathering is difficult for even for PRS shooters, or even for PRS shooters always they rely on their data being correct so that they can hit targets, right? Like for us
Yeah.
in F class, we get sighters and we get a big target, we can just walk it in. But for you guys in PRS, so what I'm getting at is it's hard to true up a gun even for PRS. What is it like truing up a gun for extreme long range?
Well, that's also why I shoot a 375 shy tac. It's very forgiving. It's like the BR of the ELR world, you know. Nice soft shooting. It's like not too much recoil, like 416s, just a lot too much recoil. I want to see where my shot's going. I want to control that rifle more. I'm not as big of a, I don't have a lot of mass to me. Um, so I like a gun I can handle.
Yeah, but how do you true it up? Like I get all that, but how, like, do you go at what distance do
Oh,
you true up your drop?
I do most of my testing at 100 yards. So I'll do my load testing and everything like that. And then I'll do a tall target test if I, knew Charlie. And then I will have to go to different states to get distance, you know. Um, and with ELR, you're just limited. There's not a lot of ranges out there. So if you can only true at 1,000, you got 1,000, or, not true, but you got 1,000 to shoot at, but hey, you got 15, you got 15. Man, if you got 2,000, it's kind of slim pickings, beggars can't be choosers. Uh, and most of the time, like I gather a lot of data when I shoot matches. Like, okay, what did I do? Every shot, I want to know information. So I'm going to gather that and then like see if there's any patterns. And if I do get a chance to go practice like on a ranch or something like that, which is really, really rare because who's going to have that much distance out there? We do have a place that we go in Texas, but I have to, fly over to Texas to do that and then fly my guns, fly my ammo, so that it's quite difficult. But AB, Applied Ballistics, they have this mobile lab. Have you went to their mobile lab?
Not yet.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, you got your BC and you got your CDMs, and now you got your PDMs, which is personal drag model. So they tell you exactly what your BC is out of your rifle, and it's worked wonders for me.
Let's say, so you say you do everything at 100 yards, all your load development, all your everything.
Yep.
Uh, and then for chewing up your data, whatever you have, 1,000, if it's 1,000 yards,
So be
obviously
it.
you have to have a good understanding of your ballistic calculator, right? Because you rely heavily on that.
Oh yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
use?
Yeah. So
Uh oh.
so this is my progression into ELR, right? And why AB is good for their PDM. So I got their PDM, and I used to use a different app, right? I use geoballistics for like my hunting matches for, PRS. I'm so used to using that. I've been using it for years, and I like the features. I like the comp mode, map mode, whatever. So I was using that in the first few matches I was going to, but I always have to re-true. Like this number's not, and I'm always like over there in my little hobbit hole, and I'm just writing down information and like fixing information in my app. And then I would, constantly do better. The further I get, the more data I'm gathering. And then one time, I think it was in Georgia that I went, I got a second PDM, and I was listening to Brian saying, this BC is only good with applied ballistics app, like, and I was like, what? So I can't just grab that BC, put it in my other app, and it'll work? It didn't. It doesn't. Okay. So once I started to use applied ballistics, I started using the Kestrel. I just didn't want to use the Kestrel. I was like, this looks like a Nokia phone. It's like ancient. I'm like, play Snake on here. It's like a brick. Like, I don't want to use it. But eventually I was like, okay, ELR, I need to start using this thing. So I went online, I went on YouTube. Kestrel has a great like tutorial on all that stuff. They also offer like courses that you can take like, virtually. So that was really good. And then after I used the PDM in the Kestrel, everything started lining up. I'm like, oh, well, I don't have to correct my data as much. But these are like the hard lessons you learn, so.
So is everybody in ELR pretty much using a Kestrel?
I would say most, not all. Most, not all. But I've had success using geoballistics. I've hit my first ELR match. I hit over 2 miles sub MOA target with geoballistics. So, I mean, like I was just like, all right, this works well. And then the next match I went to did great too. But at a certain distance, it starts falling off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, like I said, that's probably what a lot of people would struggle with, just
Yeah.
not knowing the correct path to take in, because again, like I went out yesterday with my 6BR, 500 yards.
Yeah.
I used geoballistics. I didn't have anything. I just had my phone. So I brought up the DA and everything from the nearest airport,
Yep.
and I used that. It said that I needed 2.2 mils for 500 yards, or whatever the distance was. I dialed it, and I cleaned the KYO rack
Nice.
down to like a 2-inch target, and I'm
Nice.
like, perfect. So, but I could have been off slightly, and it's not going to show up at 500.
Yeah.
Right. When you're shooting 4,000 or whatever, however freaking far you guys are doing, like 2,775 yards, just like we discussed, 1,000th at when you get out to 3,000 yards, that's 3 inches now.
Yeah.
And I guess 3 inches don't matter, but it just compounds, you know,
And then you're off
drastically.
like at feet at that point, at that distance. You're like, dang, oh man, gotta be really on my game. You gotta have your fundamentals down. Like, definitely, like, if anyone was trying to get any to ELR, practice at 100 yards. Just practice your fundamentals. Like when I first started to shoot, like I have only had access to 100 yards. And for the first year, I went and I practiced dot drills. The most boring thing. I just get up, I get down, get into position, shoot one. All right, get up, get down, shoot one. And then also saves you, ammo too, because we're not that rich. But that got me used to like getting down on the rifle in the same position, you know. If you like jerk the trigger or slap the trigger, flick the bean. And if you just have 100 yards, you can definitely practice. You don't have to have 4,000 yards.
Well, if you don't have 100 yards mastered, you have no business moving further
Exactly.
than that,
Exactly.
because it's at 100 yards, it's very obvious to tell when it's you. If you're trying to shoot 3,000 yards and you miss, you just the assumption is that it's not you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That it's the wind, the dope, something, whatever. And yeah, so you have to be good.
Oh, for sure. At
What is
100 yards, paper does not lie. You cannot give an excuse. Oh, well, the wind was, switched up on me or this or that. Oh, my scope was loose. Well, that's your fault too if you didn't check it. And I find that once you start taking accountability, you start to improve and you're like, okay, well, I didn't do this. Okay, next time I got to do that. All right. And then you kind of like try to minimize those variables and stuff. But if you're saying, hey, it's out of my control, it's the wind, it's this, it's that, you're never going to improve.
You mentioned a tall target test. I do it for my 1,000 yard rifles because I have levels and everything. But
Yeah.
explain for those that have never done a tall target test or even understand the purpose of it. Let us know why it's important and why you have to set up your rifles that
Okay,
way.
so we have this thing, well, I use this thing called a Charlie Carrot. And I saw that Chase like showed you guys what it looked like, just like a prism. And it gives you, what it does is gives you more mils or MOA, right? So you just slap that baby on and you're like, okay, I want 30. It's already set for 30, or I want 60. Okay, awesome. So when you have that thing on, I want to see if there's a shift in my zero, you know? And that's what I'm using the tall target test for. And then I will dial my scope and see if it's lining up with the target or if it's like veering off to the right, veering off to the left. And since you can adjust the Charlie, but I use two different Charlies. So, I'm just like, okay, so this Charlie is good for my good for my rifle. But when I borrow like the 60 mil, okay, I have an offset of like, 8. And I know, and then I have a separate profile for that.
So this is in this video here, you are actually installing the Charlie.
Okay. Oh, I forgot. I need to put my Charlies on.
That's the Charlie you're talking about,
Yes,
correct?
yes, yes.
So, just so that everybody understands the purpose of the tall target test, you must do a really tall target.
16 feet. I
Wow.
I'll have to have a video. Like the boys, like Rusty, Bill, and Roper, like they set it up, they level it out and everything. I'm so grateful that they're there to set it up because I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, because I use a 2 foot tall target test.
Yeah, ours is
Tall.
like
I'm gonna have to put that in freaking quotations because I'm only testing. Most of my stuff I dial up about 22, 23 minutes for 1,000 MOA. That's
yeah.
it. So I just do 24 inches. I
Yeah.
dial up 22 MOA and whatever it is, it is. I do the math, but I dial it up, make sure it dials up, it tracks on that line, and then I measure to make sure my scope is tracking
Yep. Yep.
properly, right?
Yep.
For you, when you install the Charlie, so you have to aim at the 100 yard the whole time, but you dial it up,
Yep.
and then if you install a 60 mil target or 60 mil Charlie, you take a few shots, and then you have to go and see, right? You measure just to verify how much it's actually moving.
Yeah. I'll do.
It's a lot of work.
Yes. But when you're shooting ELR, you don't have many rounds, and you got to make it count. Like you're in F class, you're very good with your ammo and you love it, and you probably caress it, you know. I'm different depending on what I'm shooting, right? If I'm shooting like a field match, I'm like, good enough, half MOA, bah, whatever, just make sure everything's the same lot. But in ELR, oh man, I'm super like very, very anal. I'm like, okay, I'm going to measure this. I'm going to measure that. I'm getting my amp press. All right. I'll line them up. If you'll see in my like King of 2 miles, I'll like have them numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then when I put in the press, and then I'll cherry pick, okay, this is the same pressure, that's the same pressure. I'm going to shoot this, for day 1, right? And then I'll shoot this for day 2. Like for the last King of 2 mile, I use the best of the ammo, the most consistent on day 1. Because if you don't get past day 1, you're not going to get to day 2. So,
Yeah. So yeah, that's now. How do you determine the best ammo from not as good ammo?
um, uh, when I mandrel, right? I'll anneal, I'll mandrel, but then I'll physically feel the difference. Like same thing when you like I see it with the arbor press too, because I like to feel like how my bullet sits in the cartridge for the my other PRS stuff. But when I do the amp press, I'll have numbers, and I'll keep it like, okay, so this is like, 89. I'm going to keep, this whole set like around like, 90, right? That's going to be one shoot day. That's going to be another shoot day. Even like, oh, this primer, it just is seating kind of funky. And I don't know if these variables matter. It might not, but it's like it gives you peace of mind, and that's what it is. So I'm like, okay, well, these primers sat funky, right? Set it aside, and then out of these, I'm gonna measure. I'm gonna weigh these out. Okay, I like these, and then I'm gonna measure. Okay, these are all trimmed the same length, and now I got chamfer. All right, I like that. And I'll pick the best bullets. Well, I mean, I use cutting edge. They all like look pretty good. But yeah, it gets super, super anal. And even in our ammo box, it's numbered. Do you guys have that in F class?
Numbers? Yes, we have numbers.
Yeah. No, in your ammo case.
No, I mean we can, but we don't. I actually do load my ammo. For example, I separate it by seating pressure.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and then I just see, I just load them like that. But I kind of load them in groups.
Yeah.
But honestly, I all the bad stuff I save it for sighters, so I can shoot it for blow offs or things of that nature.
Practice.
But
Yeah.
because we're doing sighters on the same target, most of the time I'm like shooting the worst of the ammo that I have, and it shoots perfectly okay. So, but I still do it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I do for like a big match. I'm not saying I do that for every match, but like for King of the 2 mile, you bet I'm going to do that.
Yeah, might as well, especially because you don't have that much ammo. How much ammo do you take to a King of 2 mile championship or match?
Um, how much do people take or how much do I take?
Oh my God. Okay, it sounds like there's two different questions. How about you answer them both?
Some people take like 100 something, and they have the luxury of driving to the match. I don't always have that luxury. I have to fly a lot, and when I fly, I put my rifle in actually a regular rifle case, a regular Pelican, and I have to take it all apart. So I take the action out of the stock, I take the scope off, and for other people, they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, it's a me problem, not a you problem. I do a lot of stuff because it's my problem. Like, why do I reload in the hotel room? Because I'm flying and like either I don't have components, someone's bringing me something. Like that's happened at numerous matches. And you'll see me like the 0 day, I'm just like frantically running around trying to gather data, like trying to load develop. Like it's a me problem.
Wow. Uh, anyway, but it's worked.
It's
It
worked.
works.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Like you'll see me like load with a teaspoon. They're like, what are you doing? Loading with a teaspoon. I use a Frankfurt Arsenal portable scale with batteries. It irks a lot of people. You're loading with a small scale with a teaspoon in the back of the Suburban or in the hotel room. You know what? It works, and that's what I have to do. That's what I have to deal with. If I was in like a nice lab and like that would be great, but sometimes you don't have that. Sometimes you don't get that.
yeah. So, how much ammo do you bring?
At this one, I actually just brought enough. Like I just brought enough for the match. I think I brought like 40 or something like that. Like
Okay, well,
that's it.
and you placed pretty well. How did you end up? Fourth, third?
I think I got third. Yeah, 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 with Sean's rifle.
Yeah. So I mean, you got third place. Good job. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Like me and my partner work really well together, Rusty. Yeah, we've been working together since I started ELR.
Explain to me how the because you have spotters. How does the shooter spotter relationship work in ELR?
Every team works a little different. Um, I can tell you what I do is I crunch my own numbers, um, and then Rusty just spots, for me. That's it. That's our dynamic.
So he just tells you whether you hit or miss.
No, he'd be like, oh, point four left, point four, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You give corrections.
Now, does that mean that when he shoots, you spot for him?
Yes. Yeah, we're a team. So like he'll spot for me on day one and then next day it flips.
Now, when how do you decide who shoots on day one and who shoots on day two?
The match director. They like randomize numbers.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
that I don't know. I'm just to me that would I would think that would make or break uh, a shooter. Like for example, if you and I both going against each other, let's just say there's two of us,
Okay.
right? And I get to go in the morning when it's overcast and there's little
No
wind,
wind.
and I
Yeah.
can see the target perfectly,
Yeah.
and then you have to go at noon when it's sunny, the mirage is up, the wind is switchy.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of compensation in the score for that, or is just
Nope.
look at the draw?
Luck of the draw. Which I thought this year at the King of the 2 Mile for the last day, they actually held off on shooting and they let the first person who shot because during the King of the 2 Mile, whoever shoots first is kind of it's bad because all the targets are in the shadows. You couldn't see anything. So that was really nice that like they're like, okay, we'll start the match whenever the first person wants to start, which I think was really fair because there's not a lot of people that shoot on the final day.
Okay, so but again, it's an advantage. Is it?
For what?
To, depending on where you get drawn. For example, what would be your, if you could select one you would shoot every match, when would you do that? Do you have a preferred time of day?
It depends on what location. Because at Rotone, sometimes you'll have like that morning between like maybe like 9 and 10, or maybe like 8:30 and like 11. You get all these like it's heating up the day, so you get like weird wind changes. And then from 11 to X amount, it might be like chill or consistent. I'd rather have a consistent wind than inconsistent. But it was like same thing at the last match. It was decent in the morning, and then like maybe from like 8 to X amount, it was crazy windy. And you know what I did, Eric? I freaking I did a wind dance before I went on the line. Yeah, I did like, all this stuff and I danced and it freaking worked. It worked because like when I got there, the wind slowed down. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a thing now. If you see me dancing at the next match, don't mind it. Yes, it did work.
Do you have footage of that?
I do not personally have footage of that. Maybe somebody else caught it, but it was right next to the firing line. So,
So what does that dance look like?
oh, I can't show you. Can't show you my secrets, man.
Oh man, hey, gotta try, gotta ask. So again, I guess luck of the draw. Just and that happens a lot in pretty much every discipline, right? They can't have everybody all shoot at once at the same time. It's impossible. So
Yeah.
luck of the draw. So let's talk about your King of 2 Mile. So on the first day, what are the targets that you have to engage?
I'll have to pull up. I don't have my notes with me. I'll have to send them to you.
All right. So one target, two, three.
Uh, maybe 5.
Were you there? Do you send a double to go shoot for you? What's going on here?
Well, I mean, I go to more matches, like I do ELR. Yeah, yeah, that's what you know me by. But I also do PRS. I also do field matches. I also do, different things. And it's just like, okay. In 2001, I went to like 20 national matches, like half ELR and the other half were split between like gas gun, PRS, field matches, and stuff like that. So just all around, like everything. So if you ask me one question, I might not know it. But I have it
Okay.
in my
All
notes.
right.
I
Fair
definitely
enough.
have it in my notes.
From what you remember, because
From
I
what I
mean,
remember.
you talked
Okay.
about you got to get past day one. You got to get past day one. How does it work? So who makes it to day two?
Okay. So my final answer is 5 targets. Maybe like 2 and 3. I don't know. I'll send you the data like later. But you'll shoot the targets, right? You shoot on 2 different days because there's so many people, right? So you shoot one day, your partner shoots the second day, right? And then they see, I think it's the top 20% of the people, of the scores, get to go to finals.
And the finals is just one time.
Yes, one time.
Do you keep the score from the? Is it an aggregate score for all your
Yes,
targets?
yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, they all matter.
And the further targets, like they give you more points. And if you, for the King of 2 Mile, and if you hit like the first target, you get like times 5 plus like, their whole formula and everything like that. But it is more advantageous to hit the first round.
From what I understand, and I'm not 100% sure, the way it's been explained to me. So if you're shooting whatever target, let's say 4,000 yards.
Yeah. Hmm.
You get the first shot counts of 4,000 times 5 because that's the
Yeah.
distance times 5.
Yeah.
The second shot, because it's 5 shots, right?
Yeah.
So, or 4 shots,
5.
whatever,
Well,
5 shots. Let's say 5,
yeah.
just for
Yeah, let's
this
just say
example.
5.
Let's say 5 shots. So if it's 4,000 yards, the first target counts 4,000 times 5. The second one is 4,000 times 4, 4,000 times 3. So your last shot is only 4,000, somewhere along that line.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. That's general, yes. Then they need to kind of do some other stuff depending on what match you go to. Infant stages, we still haven't got like an overall umbrella
Yeah,
rules.
so the bottom line is the first shot impact at the farthest target is worth more than the first shot impact at the closer target. That's yes.
Depending if well, yeah, yes, yes,
Yeah, because
yeah,
it's farther away, so it's more difficult.
yeah.
But anyway, the point is you got third place. Good job. Yay.
Thank you.
You,
Thank you.
you don't
Yay,
remember
yay,
it. You don't
yay.
remember it, but
No,
good job.
I remember. I just don't know exactly what I mean. I believe we shot 3 rounds at the target. 3 rounds at 5 targets. So 15 rounds.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Yeah.
saying, okay, got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, you get third place. How, what's the entry fee like? Can anybody just show up? Like, can I just show up to King of 2 Mile?
No, you have to qualify for the King of 2 Mile. And how to qualify is you'll have to go to the matches where their points count for King of 2 Miles. And those matches are like they have to be like the target has to be filmed, you have to be filmed. So it's not just anybody can go.
Okay, so it's an invitational
Yes, sir.
type of
Hmm.
event. So you have to go and then do you have to be in the top whatever to be invited? How many people get invited to King of 2 Mile?
Um, we have around like 100 people that come to the match.
So is it the top 100?
Yeah. I mean,
You don't
well,
sound
no,
sure at all.
okay. It's a loaded question because you have the top 100, but those top 100, they're like maybe like 30 don't go. Then it goes to like the next 30. But then you also have like, well, if you're a top person and you have a partner who is not ranked very high, you can maybe pull him to shoot or her to shoot with you because you're a team. That's
I
why I
see.
can't really give you like
Okay.
a
Well,
direct
no,
answer.
that's
Yeah.
perfect. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to know. I want to know kind of the ins and outs of how it works. So,
Yeah.
so, so what I heard was
Well, you
I can get
heard.
invited on the first. I can show up at the first one. The loophole is I just have to be partners with somebody who's invited.
Well,
That's what you
but you
just said.
haven't, but you
That's what I
haven't even,
heard.
but you haven't even shot an ELR match yet, Mister.
Yeah, but what you just said, that's what I'm saying. I'm working on the loopholes.
Loopholes, okay.
So if I've never shot an ELR match, but let's say you get invited,
Yep.
and let's
And
say
we're
your
partners.
partner can't make it,
Okay.
can you say, well, Eric's my partner? Can I at that point go, or do I have to have experience? I'm trying to figure out exactly
In
how
that
you.
case, that case, like you would come as a spotter,
That's it, not a
unless
shooter.
you know what? Well, I am not Alex. I cannot say
Obviously,
yes or
I'm not
no.
trying to. I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not obviously. It would probably not be a good idea to show up at King of 2 Miles as your first match ever. That's. I'm not recommending that anybody does that.
But you
Uh,
know what? Honestly, if you came, Mr. Eric Cortina, you would do very well. Okay, you have experience. You're the champion. You just want to know what the Southwest Nationals,
yeah, but
Southwest
it's only a
Nationals,
thousand yards. It's only 1,000 yards.
1,000 yards. I heard about that 1.3 group.
Yeah, got lucky.
Yeah, lucky. Uh-huh. 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 That's right.
No, but anyway, the I'm just trying to figure out how somebody that's wanting to try this, how do they get to the King of 2 miles? Because so obviously they have to go shoot. Do you shoot matches, kind of feeder matches, and then
Yes,
you can get ranked
yes.
and you can get
And then you can get
qualified.
ranked. Yes, yes. That's
Now,
actually
is
how you do
there?
it.
Do you have to be a member of any organization, kind of like PRS, or no? You just show up and shoot.
No, well, like when you go to like Raton, like NRA, you have to be a member of the 50 Cal Association, but it's not like a PRS. It's not like an NRL hunter or anything like that. You don't pay membership for a governing body.
Okay, so you just show up
Yeah.
and shoot. Just find out where the matches are, show up,
Yes.
shoot. Hopefully, you get enough points. You get invited to King of 2 miles, and then you
Okay.
can
Yep.
shoot.
Well, you don't show up. You sometimes have to apply. There's application to
All right.
shoot. That
What do you mean you don't
Eric,
just?
Eric, some these matches are limited, so it's not like maybe there's 50 spots open, so if those 50 spots are filled, then no one else can come,
All
right?
right. So what you're saying is, I don't even know what you're saying anymore. It's you're saying that it's really hard as the sport grows. It's going to get harder and harder to attend these matches just because of the.
Negative. No, because there's going to be more matches.
Yeah. Again, I'm trying to understand how this works because obviously there's not a whole lot of matches that can host 2 miles or even 1 mile shoots, right?
Yeah.
Even 1,000 yards is very limited. So I can only imagine that the extreme long range is even more limited. As this sport is growing quite fast. As that happens, these matches are gonna get filled up with
Very
the
quick. Yeah.
regulars, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying for somebody new trying to get in, I guess now it becomes of you gotta. I don't know. I'm saying I don't even know the path to take
Well, it's
to.
kind of like any other match, right? You go on what practice score and you like try to get a spot. Some matches are very popular, like sells out in like 2 minutes. That's the same thing with ELR.
Yeah. Well, I figured. I just want to make sure I understand. So
Yeah,
I'm not saying I want to try it anytime soon. I'm just
you
asking
should.
questions.
You should. You live in Texas. You got a lot of land over there. You got a lot of
Yeah.
matches over there.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I don't keep up with it. So where do they
Join
have them in
the
Texas?
they got them at the Mingus, Texas, the Greystone Castle. I think I told you about that last year. I think you would really like it. Go for King in the 1 mile. That's like right up
What
your
should I
alley.
build for that?
So you are a Lapua guy, and oh, Lapua. How do you say it?
Lapua.
Lapua. Um, so you have to shoot one of their
No, I don't.
cartridges. Okay.
No,
I would,
I sh-
I would, I would build a 33XC.
okay. That's
Yeah,
that's what Chase told me. That's kind of what's
yeah,
winning.
yeah, yeah. So I'm in the middle. Like I've been wanting to build my 33XC, but it just, been falling through. But I think this year I'll get to do it. I got the brass and everything. But that's what it is. You start collecting components, because it's not like you can pick up a lot of ELR components off the shelf. You have to order it, and wait. And that's like people are ordering, the 416 Hellfire, or no, the 375 Hellfire. They're ordering brass from Australia and they're waiting for that. And it can take like 8 months, a year. I don't know.
Well, that's why I haven't even thought about ELR because every time I go to Academy, they're out of ELR brass and ELR bullets.
Yeah.
So where do you even get I mean, these seem to be very specialized manufacturers, vendors that deal with this stuff.
Yeah, you can just order direct from like I use Cutting Edge and I use Peterson Brass and then Federal Primers and then H50 BMG. And that stuff, like a couple years ago, it just everything was dry. I was I put a call out online. I was like, hey, I need, H50. Does anybody have it? People like from Montana, people from Texas, people from, they're like, I got like 3.5 1 pounders. I got one that's half open. I'm like, I'll take it. And I'm like, oh, but they can't send it because of like hazmat. And then so one time I flew into Texas just to pick up like 3 pounds of powder. And I met this gentleman at his work, like, hey, I'm here at your work, like, got my powder. Um, and that's when I was going to Georgia. And it was way different than the powder I had at home. So when I like loaded my normal, charge, I was like, that is too fast. Way, way, way too fast. And so like the first day, like I'm trying to like fix it. And then also like we were supposed to bring a scale, but we didn't bring the charging cord. So I didn't have a scale. Went to freaking Bass Pro to get this like cheap little, I don't know, druggy scale that didn't really work. It was horrible.
It's set to grams.
And then finally I'm like, it is what it is. That's what I got to work with. So make the best of it. And then I talked to Ronald, and Ronald's like, my wife's coming. I just got a new IntelliDropper. Do you want her to bring it? I'm like, yes, please. And so yeah, I did that. And what's really nice is the people in ELR were definitely willing to help each other out,
Well, good.
Yeah.
Wow. Fly for 3 pounds of powder. That's the new one.
But
That's a new one.
I was flying already over there.
Okay. All right.
I I think I still have some powder in Montana. It's been years, but I think that's just lost already.
That is crazy. So, how did you even start with ELR? Because you were a PRS shooter before?
Yeah, I was a PRS shooter. When COVID hit, everything shut down. I was going to school at the time, and then so everything went online. And I was like, I couldn't wait to get out of where I was at. So I looked for a place where I can shoot. So that was my main reason. Um, Shoot long range. And so I talked to Regina Milkovich, and she's like, we have 2 precision rifle matches here a month. And if you want to shoot pistol, you can shoot every day of the week. And I'm like, sold. Like a month later, I moved out, and I hit up JJ Rock, because I met him at a match like a couple of years prior. And I've been wanting to get into ELR. I'm like, hey, can I tour your factory? And then when I got there, they are like, hey, if you're here for the summer, because at that point I was only there for the summer because school was supposed to start again. Here, you want to borrow a rifle? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to borrow a rifle, man. That's awesome. And I had saw a post that Bonner Webb made, and it was a ELR match that he was putting together. And I know Bonner from like PRS, right? And I was like, hey, John Geib, like there's this match tomorrow in New Mexico. I think I want to go to it. He's like, all right, I might have a load for it, but I don't know. And we end up like, no load, but here's the components. Here's some brass. Here's some bullets. He gave me cutting edge and burgers, and he let me borrow his press and dies. And he's like, I know you know how to reload. Have at it. And I'm like, all right, okay, let's do this. And then had to go to one of their other partners' house at like later on to pick up a scope with the Charlie. I didn't know what a Charlie was at the time, so I went over to Duncan's house. We're on the floor trying to put this like torquing on the scope and like putting on the Charlie last minute. And the next day, packed everything up in my car, and I was going, and I'm like, how am I going to mount this press to the table? But when I first started reloading, I used to use C clamps. So stop by like Home Depot, grab some C clamps. That's why I was a little bit late to the match. Got to the match, started loading. But before I got there, I don't know anything about ELR. 375 shot, never shot it, right? So I'm talking to my buddy Paul Phillips. Hey, Paul Phillips, I'm going to ELR match. I'm shooting 375 Shytech. What's a good load for it? And as he was telling me, about to tell me, the phone just click, shuts off. no service, done. So I got to the range and there's no service there. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm going to start with. No clue, right? Um, and then kind of talked to some people and they're like, oh, here, 2950 is a good, you know, velocity for that. And then so I loaded and it actually shot really well. And that's where I got my 2 mile hit was that day. I stayed in the bunkhouse and I was loading and I hadn't met anybody in ELR yet, right? Rusty and Bill Poor come in. They see me loading like in a dress. And then their first thought, they tell me now, they're like, this girl don't know what she's, doing. She's gonna blow herself up, And he's like, she's gonna blow herself up or beat everybody. So that's what happened. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. It's just interesting. It was really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it. Wow. Well, looks like you're doing pretty good. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
at it.
I gotta play with your F class sometime.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I come to Phoenix quite often. I think the Nationals are going to be there again. Maybe you can come in on practice day, and
Practice day, yes.
I'll let you know because usually I bring 2 rifles, so
Okay,
and usually I want to
yeah.
shoot them both. So maybe on practice day we can get squatted together and you can
Okay.
shoot one of them.
Yeah. Do you guys shoot with the bipods or like that rest?
Rest.
The rest? Okay.
Yeah, the we're F open. The FTR are the guys that shoot with the bipod. But
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I'll let you know next. I think Nationals are going to be in Phoenix again, so we'll do that. I'll let you know.
All right. Sounds
All right,
great.
what's next? What's ELR? I mean, you
ELR,
got third place, so gonna go for the big one and might as well win it. Cost the
might as
same,
well,
right?
yeah, yeah. So ELR, I really want to start traveling too for ELR. Like I want to go to South Africa, I want to go to France, I want to go to like the King of the 2 miles in the other countries.
I'm going to South Africa. I'm gonna be
When?
there in like 2 weeks.
Oh, good for you. For
That's where the
fun
that's
or
where the
snack?
no, that's where the F Class World Championship is.
Oh, that's neat. That's so
Yep,
neat.
I'm gonna be down there for about 3 weeks.
Are you
So
coaching or are you
yeah.
shooting?
Well, I'm
Okay.
doing both. I'm coaching on the team. I'm a win coach, but
Yeah.
on individually, I'm gonna shoot the individuals.
Very cool. Very cool. I'll be watching out for your videos.
Yeah,
Hello, this is Eric Cortina.
yeah. I don't do that, but there you go. You almost had it. All right, Ray. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you're busy. Good luck with your shooting. Good luck with your loading. Uh, and I hope
I'll just
hope you
have
keep
you load
doing.
for me. I'll just have you load
Yeah,
for me.
no, I don't do. I barely load for me. I don't have that much time. But anyway, good luck and keep on trucking.
All
I'll see
right.
you
Thank
one of these days on the line.
for sure. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.